Welcome back to another edition of the Pagcast. I'm your host, Michael Pagani, joined alongside Lincoln Stars defenseman Michael Mastrodomenico. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. I want to thank you again for joining me on the Pagcast. Have you tuned into any of the NHL playoffs recently? We got that going underway, which is awesome.
I have. My favorite series to watch probably right now is the Calgary Dallas series. It's very physical. There's a lot of animosity. I like it a lot.
And I think that's been getting a lot of flack actually because of how boring it's been with the first two games having 3 goals between the two teams. But no, it's been a great series. I mean, you're talking about, Jacob Markstrom, who is just named as a Vezina candidate trophy. And with Calgary Dallas, that series actually just tied up at 2-2, I'm pretty sure, with Calgary winning last night. Gaudreau had a really nice penalty shot goal, so that was nice to see.
Mm-hmm.
Did you happen to create any brackets with your friends?
I did have a bracket. I was in Germany while they're all creating the brackets, so I was a bit busy. And I wish I could have gotten in because there was a little money put in and it would have been fun. But no, I didn't take part in any bracket.
I probably created about like 15 or 20 different brackets, all with a coin flip because that's just how the playoffs work. Really, it's 50-50. No matter, we look at the Habs last year, right? Like, it seemed very improbable for them to come back 3-1, and next thing you know, they're in the finals against Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
Getting into your story a bit here, was there a player growing up who you wanted to model your game after?
I think early it was Erik Karlsson. I liked the way he moved the puck, and when he was in his prime, he was a really good player. So I enjoy watching him play. Then I kind of moved into Brett Burns. I liked his physical play. I liked the way he played. And then the player I think I resemble, which is the question you get a lot more as a player, is Ryan Ellis. That's who I resemble most as a player. He moves the puck up, joins the play, and I'm just a bit more of a bigger physical version of him.
How do you like being that physical presence on the ice?
I think it's fun. I'm never scared to step on the ice, which is a nice feeling to be out there. Like I know I'm gonna be able to hold my own, and so that's always good. But I think like that's not the only aspect of my game that is me, that makes me me.
Yeah, exactly.
I think there's a lot more to it, but I think the physical part just adds a lot more nastiness, and I think it makes me tougher to play against, which
it also gets the boys going.
Yeah, for sure.
They throw you on the ice, you deliver a big check, and next thing you know, the bench is juiced up.
Yeah, for sure.
Getting to the next question here, we talk about players who you want to model your game after. Who influenced you to start hockey, though?
Definitely my dad. My dad didn't really play hockey growing up. He was a big football player. So I kind of get into everything when I was growing up. I was playing every single sport you could think of. Hockey just was the one I loved and the one I was probably the best at. So I continued playing that. I continued playing sports until I was about like 12, 13 years old. So I was playing a lot of different sports still growing up. And I think the cross training from all those other sports helped me a lot. But yeah, hockey ended up being the victorious one because it's the one I still play now. And it's the one I love to play the most. So yeah, definitely my dad that got me into it, and he's still there on my shoulder every game and telling me how I played, what he thought of my game. So
that's awesome. I mean, it's so good to have somebody like an athlete in your family who you can kind of, mentor you as you're growing up.
For sure, yeah.
Growing up in Quebec, did you become a Canadiens fan at all?
Yeah, if I had to say I back the team, it would definitely be the Canadiens. Not right now with how they're playing, but yeah, I don't think I would. I'm not a very loyal fan. Like I don't own any Canadian stuff, but if I had to back a team, it'd be the Canadiens just because they're the hometown team.
Did you happen to go to any street parties at all? I know that like with the COVID situation in Quebec, it's kind of a bit shaky there. Like here in Ontario, we kind of dropped all restrictions. But during that summer of last year, like how did you celebrate that postseason run?
So I went to there. Yeah, downtown was pretty crazy. I went downtown for one of the games to go watch, but it was a bit rough. Like there was there was a nice crowd that was outside, but it wasn't like Toronto where there's a big screen and everyone could go watch.
Yeah.
You had to like try to find a bar that you could see a TV through a glass window or something. So it was a bit harder to actually see the game. But once, like if you were in the back of the crowd, you couldn't even see what was going on, and you kind of just reacted to everyone else reacting. So if someone scored, you started celebrating and stuff, which is pretty cool. But then it got pretty crazy, and there was like there was riots and like tear gas was
Oh
being
yeah.
thrown, and like the police would like corner you in and throw tear gas at you, and you try to run as quick as
Wow.
you
I
can.
didn't think it got that bad.
Yeah, no, it was pretty bad. But I yeah, my friends had some crazy stories about getting tear gas thrown at them. I was never in that deep, so I wasn't too worried.
Wow, I mean, I remember seeing videos online of that small TV screen. I'm pretty sure you're talking
Yeah.
about downtown. And like I have to imagine that one person got there at probably like 4 p.m. Game starts at 7.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Maybe even earlier due to how small the screen was, right?
Yeah, yeah. It was I think it was in a little casual spore that they were looking into.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I went to La Cage in Gatineau actually, and we went to see the Habs regular season game against Vegas. My buddy's a Vegas fan, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. But I can only imagine just how crazy it was during last season's postseason
Yeah.
run. Your career started out with the Lac Saint Louis Lions Sud. What about that team helped you with your development?
I think there's a lot of good coaches. We got on the ice a lot, which helped. But I think the coaching is the biggest thing, especially as a young athlete in any sport. There's a lot of guidance that's needed to like learn how to play the game, and the older you get, the more knowledge you have. So having coaches that had a lot of knowledge and were able to help train me in the ways I needed to be trained, it helped a lot. And yeah, I think there's also a lot of work put in off the ice. So I have like my trainers to thank a lot for that too. They've been with me for almost 5 years now, and it was the Lions that actually introduced me to them. So yeah, I think on and off the ice they've helped me a lot.
You also got called up to Lac Saint Louis Lion Espoir. What was it like getting that call from the front office, knowing that you would be in the lineup?
It's pretty cool. Like being able to be called up anywhere is always pretty cool. Um, it's definitely a not an ego booster, but it's good for the self-esteem.
Oh yeah.
And then I even scored a goal, or I had an assist, I think, but it was a deflection, so I like to think of it as a goal. Um, and yeah, I think it's just being called up and being able to play at the next level and being able to fit in is always a good thing, and it's definitely good for self-esteem, and it's good for stepping up to the next level. So
Well, let's talk about that your play there with them. You played 9 games with them. What was your biggest takeaway? Because obviously that's just the next level for you.
yeah, so I was always a stronger kid growing up. Like I was naturally bigger than a lot of other guys my age. So the biggest thing was probably like speed and strength. Just guys are a lot older, and it makes a big difference when you're little. Now that like in juniors, the gap tends to be a lot smaller with how much bigger guys are, just because everyone's a bit more physically mature. But between like 14, 15-year-olds to 16 to 17-year-olds, there's a pretty big difference. So the speed and strength of shots and stuff, all that stuff is probably the biggest difference.
In 2019-20, you played for the Laval Montreal Rousseau Royale. A bit of a little tongue twister there. You made the
Yeah.
playoffs. Did you happen to finish them, or were they canceled by the pandemic?
So they got canceled by they got canceled by COVID. We had a really good team. We finished in third place. We were very strong defensively. We had we had 2 really good goalies. And we had some really good forwards, and we were actually down 2-0 in our finals. So we had a best of 5 series, and we were down 2-0 going into the third game. In the morning of the third game, it got canceled. So that was pretty annoying. But that whole story, how I got to Rousseau was pretty cool. I got cut from the Lions.
Oh, wow.
They had 4 returning right-hand defensemen, so there wasn't really space for me. They wanted me to go play a spar. I decided to go to Rousseau, so I was driving an hour and a half to practice every single day. Which thank you, Mom. I have a lot.
We love the hockey moms.
Yeah. Yes, there's a lot of sacrifice from her, but then yeah, we ended up doing a lot better. I had a really good season. I got to develop a lot because I played a lot more than I would have with the Lions. So yeah, I just in all facets, it was the best thing that could have possibly happened to me that year, because I sort of had a breakout year that year.
Yeah.
And yeah, although getting cut sucked, it was almost a blessing in disguise. So
exactly. And plus, I guess we could also use that analogy towards the end of the season, because you never know. Maybe you guys would have lost that series. So you're kind of thankful that COVID canceled it.
Yeah, an easier end to the season.
The following season, you began your career with the Lincoln Stars, who you are with now in the USHL. How big of a decision was that for you to go to the American system rather than continue in the QMJHL, for example?
So I was always dead set on. So not always. I was very close to going to the Q. Um, Biggest thing for me was figuring out school,
Yeah.
and school just didn't make sense in the. So then I started talking to universities, and I realized how much greater the opportunity was going to universities, and I ended up committing mid-August before that season to Notre Dame. So I was committed to the University of Notre Dame, and I still had no idea what I was doing. So I was just training. Um, there's a bunch of open ice because people were off the seasons and like people were everywhere. But I wasn't in school and I wasn't or I was in school, but it was like every second day. So I could go on the ice during the day and there was plenty of ice for me. Whatever, I was just training. And then over Christmas, Notre Dame lost a defenseman who signed a contract in the NHL, and they needed another defenseman. So they took a defenseman from Lincoln, and then Lincoln kind of said, "Hey, like we need another D." So Notre Dame said, "Hey, we got a guy in Montreal who needs a spot on a team." So that's how I ended up finding my way to Lincoln. And yeah, it was a tough decision to end up going down there, but there really wasn't much to it because Notre Dame wanted me to be in the USHL, and that's kind of they guided me there. So I ended up in Lincoln, and I had a good end of the season. It was a good time. I got my rookie season done because I got my 35 games. So it was the best possible scenario.
In your first season with the Stars, let's talk about that. You know, you had 8 points in 37 games. Was that kind of just an adjustment for you coming in as a rookie?
Yeah, it was tough. I had a coach who really liked his old guys, so I was playing 5-7 minutes a night for
Yeah.
a majority of those games. But yeah, it like then again, it's another big jump, and there's a lot of big bodies. Then I was playing against men. Like that was the year that a lot of colleges weren't playing. Like all the Ivy Leagues weren't playing.
Oh,
So
right.
a lot of those kids who were still under 20 years old decided to come back and
Mm.
were playing on teams. So I was playing against guys who were still in college, and yeah, it was a big jump because it was fast. It was fast hockey, but I enjoyed it. It was fun hockey to play, and then this year too, it was good hockey. So I enjoyed it there.
What's it like? I guess, like, are you able to learn much even though you're only playing 5 to 7 minutes a game?
Yeah, I mean, I'm watching a lot, I guess, from the bench, but like, yeah, I think games is where you learn the most. I got a lot of practice time. I take as many reps as you can in practice, but yeah, it's a bit tougher to learn when you're only playing that much time because like like you learn when you're playing games. That's when you
Exactly.
get confronted with new situations and you can't recreate that stuff in practice. So yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say I put on myself, but there wasn't really much other opportunity. It was either that or wasn't playing hockey. So I think it was better than anything else I could have chosen.
Well, I mean, your second season went a lot better, 18 points in 53 games, but how would you describe your play?
I got off to a hot start. I think in mid or start of November, I had 4 goals, and I think I had like 10 points or something. And I was like, wow, I'm gonna this season is gonna go really well. Then like I had an injury. I got kicked off the power play and whatever. So a few things happened. So there was a bit less opportunity for me, and points were slowed down. But whatever. I also started to play less again at the end of the season, but I was just a good teammate. I did what I had to do, and so I'm ready to go to Notre Dame next year. Yeah.
How do you deal with, I guess, your confidence when it gets a little bit too high? Like you mentioned with the 10 points, and then it gets a little bit too low with the injury and then getting kicked off the power play. How do you deal with that?
It's yeah, you got to be pretty mentally strong. Hockey's a pretty mentally demanding sport, and especially being away from home, it's different. It's hard. You don't have your family to fall back on, and like you're with those guys that you're almost battling against every single day. Um, I I'm very positive, like happy-go-lucky type of guy. Like you always see me smiling wherever I am. There's a smile on my face. So it wasn't a challenge for me. I'm probably one of the best teammates you'll ever find in a room. And like that's what I want to be. I want to be there for all the other guys. And like if I'm in a room, I'm trying to make other guys laugh. I'm trying to make sure other people are happy. So that didn't change that side of things. And if I'm laughing, I'm having a good time and I'm playing good hockey. So that's what I do, and that's what I still did all season, and I was fine with it.
The season ended much shorter than you would have liked, but that opened up an opportunity for you to represent Team Canada at the U18s. How much thought went into that decision, or was it just a bang on yes, 100%?
I think with the role that I had on my team, it was a pretty easy decision to go play for Team Canada. Our team was also in third place, so I figured the first round would be pretty easy, playing a sixth place team in a 3-game series, and I thought we would have done a lot better than we did. But yeah, the decision was pretty easy, and I was pretty dead set. And it was also, again, I also had to look at things for myself too. It was the best thing for exposure for me. So that's why I made that decision to go. And if I could do it again, I'd do it 1,000 times the same way.
Well, you played against Team USA. What's it like getting that first taste of the rivalry?
It was fun. Definitely a lot of animosity. Like the guys did not like. We went out there wanting them to leave in body bags, and we wanted to win that game bad. We didn't, and it sucked. But that's international competition. That like we were together for 3 days before that game, so we were just getting to know each other still, and it was tough. But that's how those tournaments work.
It's just unfair because USA's together right from like September.
Yeah,
So that chemistry,
they still found a way to lose the tournament.
Yeah, I know. I don't understand it. It's wild. Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate that the tournament ended so soon for you guys. Here in Canada, a lot of the junior hockey talk did surround Connor Bedard leading up to the U18s because he did become the youngest 50 goal scorer in the WHL's history. How much did you hear of him before the tournament? Because you were down in Lincoln.
So I knew of him. I had already been to a summer camp where he was there. I knew how good he really was. I knew the hype was real. But yeah, I got to know him pretty well while we were in Germany, and he's a very nice kid. He's a great guy. And yeah, we had a bunch of great guys on that team, so couldn't have been happier being there with him and all those other guys, getting to know all of them.
And he even scored a snipe like from about 2 inches from the goal line.
Yeah,
that was insane.
He had me in the slot and he looked me off.
Yeah, see, that's a bit unfortunate. That's what happens when you have a goal scorer.
Yeah, you can go watch it back later. I knew that puck wasn't coming to me. I knew it was going in the net, but you can go watch it back later and see me in the slot wide open.
Pass me the puck, pass me the puck. Just looks you off. You probably chirped him afterwards.
I did. I told him that he looked me right off and he said I was never giving me that puck. I said, I said, hey, do your thing, man. If you're putting pucks in, I'm not going to stop you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, hey, I mean, at least you're lucky you are on the same team as him and not against him, right?
Yeah.
Like, we all know he has a superb skill.
Yeah.
How difficult was it to build, that chemistry that we talked about with players that you've never been with before?
So I played with Owen Pickering the whole tournament, and from day one, it went pretty well between us. I remember the first drill. So they flew in from Toronto. They were stuck in the tarmac for I think 10 hours.
Really?
And when they finally got in, they literally got on the ice and went right, like they got off the plane, went right to the arena and got right on the ice with like their gear like out of their bags. So I remember the first drill that came on, we were on the ice for 15 minutes because someone else had to get on the ice after us. And the first drill we did, we had to do like a reverse off the boards and then go up the ice, and the lefty would take a shot from the point.
Yeah.
And right after the coach explained the drill, we both looked at each other and we said, we're going to switch sides on the way up the ice. And like right away, like we both said the exact same thing. And I was like, wow, great minds think alike.
It was right from there.
Yeah,
all right,
right,
we're partners.
right
we have to be partners.
Me and Pickering got that chemistry going, and I think we had a pretty good tournament, the both of us. So
they should just they should have wore their hockey gear on the plane if they were stuck on the tarmac for 10 hours.
Yeah, they were stuck on the plane for 10 hours, and then they had an 8-hour flight right after that. So I couldn't imagine doing that.
That's just a tough start for Pickering then.
For sure, yeah.
So what was your problem? Because like, did you have an easier flight than I assume?
So there was 8 of us that flew on the first day. It was pretty easy. We flew for 7.5 hours, got to got to Munich at like 7 a.m. in the morning, stayed up the whole day, and then I went to bed at 9 p.m., woke up at 9 a.m., and jet lag was done for me.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah, it was perfect. But then the next group of guys, I think there was like 14 of them, got on the flight the next day because they were just finishing their season, so they had to get on the flight the day after. And that flight, for some reason, there was weather delays and there was all sorts of delays. I heard the pilots got off the plane on the tarmac and like went home or like went to the hotel.
What?
Yeah, I don't know, but Yeah,
quit on the job.
Those 14 guys had a tough travel night.
Oh man, see, it's good that I guess you had a better start to the tournament than some of your teammates.
Yeah, for sure.
So you're actually a draft prospect for this summer's draft. How has this season, this past season, helped you prepare for that?
I think the USHL is an older, more physical league, so I think that feeds into college hockey pretty well, and I think college hockey feeds into the NHL pretty well because of the way they play hockey. I think it's a lot more structured, and there's a lot more defensive hockey being played. So I think I have that going for me. I think I'm a lot stronger defensively than a lot of other guys. And yeah, I think there's a lot more not big boys, but I think everyone's just a lot stronger and a lot more physically mature than they are in the OHL and stuff like that, or CHL.
What do you hope to bring to the team that drafts you?
Listen, I'm not gonna change. Well, if the team asks me to change the way I play for them, I'll change the way I play for them. But I don't plan on changing the way I play. I think I think I'm a physical two-way defenseman, and that's what I'm planning to give the team that drafts me. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the draft, and it should be a fun day.
What qualities of your game do you think that you could work on or improve?
I think skill-wise, I can work on my skill a lot with my skating and my hands. I think if I can connect those with how smart I can play the game, I think I can be a pretty dangerous player. So I have been working on that since I got back, and I'm going to keep working on that all summer. So yeah, hopefully next year I can tie those together and be even better.
Let's talk about your commitment to U of Notre Dame. What influenced your commitment to there?
I think their elite academics on top of how good their hockey program was the biggest thing. Yeah, I really like the coaches there. Everyone I talked to said really great things about the program and about the school, so I couldn't complain. And then the campus is beautiful. I don't know if you've ever been, but yeah, it's awesome. They've got a nice rink. They treat their players well. So, and yeah, I'm excited to go there next year.
Have you thought of what you're going to be studying?
So I'm going to be studying business. I'm not quite sure what in business, because our first year it's a very basic business, and then you choose your major your second year.
Yeah, it seems like that's the same with Canadian university. Here, I finished my first year, and it was just intro level courses.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you get into second year, which is more specialized courses. Are you excited to play some of your teammates in the NCAA?
Yeah, it should be fun. I actually don't think there's one guy that was committed to the Big Ten, so there's only one of them that'll be playing. But hopefully, I can meet some of them in the Frozen Four championships.
Yeah, that would be
and
cool.
Then maybe I'll play some of them in independent games. But yeah, I think other than that one guy at Penn State, he might be the only guy I'll be playing.
Well, your teammate Henry Nelson also committed to Notre Dame. Have you talked it over with him at all?
Yeah, so he's staying another year. He got shafted a little bit. He didn't play much this season, so they wanted him to come back, or I think he wanted to come back, get his feet under him, get more time before he went in.
Yeah, it's all about the confidence factor.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I just want to have a few more questions before we close off this interview here. If you were to play another sport, I mean, you've played so many, what would it be?
Yeah. So answer for me for a sport I'd like to play, either be football or soccer. All my friends are soccer players, so I actually played soccer pretty recently on an actual team. And then football is probably my second favorite sport growing up. But if you look at me, I've got a very long upper body and shorter legs. So I'd be a great swimmer, and I grew up swimming, and I was actually pretty good at swimming. So logically, if I had to choose a sport, it'd be swimming.
I mean, you should have just committed to UND for swimming.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe, who knows? Maybe I'll make a guest appearance on the team.
That would be amazing. Dual sport athlete, right?
Dual threat.
Yeah, exactly. We love the versatility that you bring to this team.
Yeah. Maybe that's what I'm going to bring to an NHL team.
Exactly. So you mentioned soccer. Does Lincoln play a lot of Super Bowl before the game?
Oh, yeah. It's anywhere you go. Team Canada, anywhere you go, you're going to play a lot of it. I think I enjoy I can't say, I'm not going to gloat, but I am a pretty good Super Bowl player. So yes, I do enjoy playing because I am pretty good at it. But
I'm not gonna glow. You probably won all the matches on Team Canada and even Lincoln.
No. Guess who was winning all of them?
I'm gonna say it was Josh Davies on Canada. I'm gonna say that.
It was Connor Bedard. Surprise.
Really?
Yeah.
I just think like Josh Davies is a good sewer player. It was a random guess, best educated guess.
I think he might have been out first almost every single time. He liked
That's
to get involved, but got himself in trouble.
That's tough.
Yeah.
I guess like my two other questions I have is, what was your favorite arena to travel to this season? Or even in Germany? Like, was that what, number one?
No, I think the Germany rink was actually nice, and I enjoyed playing on the Olympic ice. The coolest rink we probably played at this year was Sioux Falls. They have like a full like NHL first bowl and second ring.
Really?
Just almost missing the nosebleeds. And I think a new university is coming there, or a D1 school is going to play hockey there in 2 years.
Oh,
and it's a really nice rink. But so that's probably the nicest place to play. Yeah, Sioux Falls.
What was it like playing on the international ice? Like, did you kind of like, did that add to your game in a way?
Yeah, I think I'm a pretty good skater. Like I can straight line. I'm pretty fast, and I can close on guys quickly. Yeah, I think it helped me a bit because I am a pretty talented skater. Yeah, I think that's all there is to it.
As we're closing off this interview here, do you have any advice for younger hockey players?
I don't know. I think like biggest thing for me is I enjoyed everything growing up. Like I wasn't very one-dimensional I just played hockey. That's all I did growing up. Like I had a social life. I played other sports, and like I had a lot going on. So I would say don't put all your eggs in one basket before it's not too late, but don't put all your eggs in one basket, and like enjoy yourself. Like hockey should be fun. And if it isn't fun, stop playing it.
I mean, look, you played so many sports. You could have been a swimmer for all we know, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to thank again Michael Mastrodomenico for joining me on today's podcast. Thank you again, Michael.
No problem. Thank you for having me.